Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Pros in Politics Podcast, where we are polished and poised for greatness and impact. My name is Kahala, and I'm your host. And today's episode is such a special episode as we continue our journey into the D9. And the next up is none other than Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And I have my line sisters with me here today on Pros in Politics Podcast. Hey! Oh my goodness, I'm so happy to here. Oh my goodness, this just makes me so happy. So, how do we know each other?
Well, we're line sisters.
Absolutely. So we go back 8 years.
8 years.
Can y'all believe it?
Man, it's crazy. It's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy. It is.
Yeah.
It's legit like
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
Journey.
Absolutely an amazing journey. So where do we begin? Like, there's just so much to discuss. Well, first, introduce yourselves.
So I am Stephanie Swanson. I am a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I, alongside these beautiful ladies sitting here with me, we were initiated spring 2015.
Mm-hmm.
2015?
Yes,
That's crazy. But spring 2015, we were initiated in the Delta Delta Omega chapter out of East St. Louis. That chapter was chartered May 25th, 1946. And we actually, like I said, we were initiated the day before, so that was awesome. However, a little bit about myself. I am a current doctoral candidate I'm working on my degree in public health. I'm like at the finish line. I can almost taste that, I am also a published author. I have a children's book. It's called Believe in Yourself, which I did bring today just to kind of share with you all a little bit. And then I also have a business that I run and own, and it's called Shay's Essentials, and I sell and make candles and different little things, car fresheners, whatever case may be. So I love doing that. It's very therapeutic for me because I'm so stressed a lot with trying to finish school. So that's kind of like just like my outlet, So on the weekends, I kind of just make candles and whatever else I decide to make that weekend.
That's your self-care.
It really is. Like I'm telling you, it's just, it relaxes me a lot. So, so that's a little bit about me.
Leah.
Hi, I'm Leah. I am also of Spring 15. I am a recruiter for a nonprofit agency full-time, and I am a food blogger on my free time.
I'm Neshea. I am a proud member, of course, of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, but also I am a graduate of Brown School. So my MSW, I am currently looking for doctoral classes and deciding which program best suits me. So keep your eyes out. I might be doctor soon. Not yet.
Okay.
I'm leaning towards that doctoral status.
You got it.
I am a proud mom, and my daughter is Keegan, and she's awesome. So
Future legacy in the house.
my legacy, and she knows it. Pinkies up all day is what she does. So that's just a little bit about me.
And I'm Mia. I am a doctor. I am a pediatrician. I also have a PhD in molecular biology. I currently work at a federally qualified health center in South St. Louis. I'm seeing all sorts of kids. Birth up to about 18 or 19. It's super, super fun.
Yes. So that's right. So let's just say we have, in the 8 years, right, we have had many births, okay? It was 27 of us. Unfortunately, we lost our beautiful soror, so we are 26. We lost Tracy, but we have yet to have a male child. We laugh about it all the time. So every single one of us, including myself, has had nothing but girls. So we are a initiated line of legacy makers.
Yes.
Okay. Future legacy makers. That's all we do. So one of these days, one of the 26 that's left is gonna have a little boy. Somebody gonna bring a boy around here.
We'll see.
She might be carrying the very first one. So, and congratulations all over again. So she has 2 future legacies, and then now we gonna see what the end gonna be here. And just beautiful, accomplished, amazing women. Okay, working on her PhD, considering her PhD. MD, JD, put respect on my license name, okay? Okay, I got my JD, but just this is just a glimpse of what our line of sisters has brought into the world, into the culture, and into our beautiful sorority. So let's talk about why you all chose, like what AKA means to you and being a woman of Alpha Kappa Alpha. Who wants to start?
I'll start. Why AKA? Why not AKA is what I believe. So growing up in East St. Louis, when I was younger, I saw a lot of community-based things going on, which is why I wanted to become a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha. I didn't knock the others, but I was drawn closer. And they had a heart for what I would say my city, and that's what drew. And I'm not saying no one else did or did not do. I'm just what I saw. I witnessed with my own eyes that Alpha Kappa Alpha East St. Louis was working hard for East St. Louis, and so that was coming from a line of amazing women who are members of Alpha Kappa Alpha. It was, why not? Like, and I was always told, do your research. You'll know what you want to do. And I did my research, and I chose the best sorority that was ever made.
Absolutely.
Ever.
The first and the finest.
And the finest.
I grew up, and I didn't have a lot of AKAs growing up that I could look up to or model after. I know a lot of great women who are from a lot of other sororities, and they were amazing, but they also told me to do my own research. And I chose the sorority whose mission and principles are closely aligned to me and how I wanted to live my life. And it was
Here we are.
the only way for me.
Here we are. And I know for me, there was no other option. So all the women in my family, all the men are Sigmas, and all the women are women of Alpha Kappa Alpha. So that's how I was raised, and like you all just said, that's what I saw, and that's what I admired and respected. And I was in Senior Pearls, and I was in the Fashionetta Cotillion, and so it was just like a beautifully groomed process, and it's something that I always wanted to do. And then I couldn't come home and be nothing else. Like if I wanted all my hair snatched out, like maybe, but and I say that jokingly, but like you said, there was no other option.
Same. My cousin is the president of my chapter right now. My whole life, I grew up around AKAs. I remember so vividly in 4th grade being down the street at soror Anita Westbrook's house, and I was wearing this shirt that said, "Yes, my sister is an AKA," and she said, and on the back it says, "Of course I'll be one someday." And I was like trying to look at my shirt. It didn't say anything on the back, but I will never forget. And she was like, that's what you're going to do when you grow up, right? And I was like, yes, ma'am. Here we are.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So for me, I like to say that my aunt paved the way for me because when I was about 15 or 16 is when I really started noticing her wearing a lot of pink and green, and she's always got on this business attire doing stuff, and I'm like, this lady always out here doing something, it's always dragging me to everything. So for me, it was almost like a no-brainer. I knew what I needed to do. I knew where I needed to go. I knew where my heart lied, and so and don't get me wrong, when I got to college, I did do my research because we had everybody on the yard when I first started college. So, and I went to SIUE, shout out to SIUE, boom. Anyway, so, when I went to college and everything, I did do my own research, but I just knew, I'm like, you know what, I feel like it was kind of pointless a little bit because I knew where I was going. So I'm like, I don't know why I'm trying to look at all these other sororities and things like that when I knew where I was going. So for me, I just feel like my heart was always in it. Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
Yes. And of course, all of us are unapologetically central.
Yes,
right? This is where
right.
we are. This is where we were initiated. This is where we currently serve in our capacities. And of course, our wonderful international president is Danette Anthony Reed. And unapologetically central, the amazing Kiana Davis is our central regional director. And, you know, it's just a life of service. So those two women obviously have extensive service within the sorority, and just being able to stay committed, right? Because so many times it's like, oh, well, I'll join this organization or that organization, but I don't stick with it, or I don't serve in it. I'm a member and I pay, but I'm not really active. I'm financial, but not really active. And so what I love about us is the way that we continue to serve, because over here we have someone who is serving very well. So tell us about that.
So in our current administration, I am serving as the chair of one of our signature program initiatives. So internationally, we have a very well orchestrated program of service that is split into 6 different areas. And then each chapter has committees that implement the program locally. So I am our local chapter chair of the Empowering Our Families Committee. And we are really focused this administration on 3 key objectives outside of the sorority, as well as one within. So we have a program called CHIP that provides food every single week to elementary school students who are in need to take home, make sure that they're able to eat at home when they're not able to get free school breakfast and lunch. We are focused on mental health awareness. Our chapter is hosting a big mental health awareness fair in May. And then we have a program called YLI, or Youth Leadership Initiative, that is focused on children 11 through 13 and really working with them in a youth-led, youth-driven way to develop their leadership skills and prepare them to be the leaders that we're going to need in the 21st century.
And clearly children are your passion.
Yes.
Right? So did that, your love for children and the way you care for children on a daily basis, did that kind of like pull you toward that particular initiative?
Absolutely. You know, every single day I'm talking to kids and their families at work about their struggles. I take care of a lot of children whose families struggle with poverty. I take care of families who don't have a place to live, don't have food on their tables. And so that really excited me when the sorority rolled out this program, that we were going to work with kids both to provide for their immediate needs today with CHIP, as well as to really help them be prepared to drive their futures to be whatever they want to be in the future.
And I know that's always been something that I've loved about you, is each one of us has something special and individual that we offer, from authors to you being in the, not-for-profit sector, and then you being in social work. Everybody has something to offer. And I'll never forget when we went to our first meeting, and you stood up and everybody's introducing themselves, and you're like, and I am an MD, PhD candidate. And I'm like, what? Because I worked on one doctorate, and I was like, it was too much. Like, I made it out by the skin of my teeth, and I'm like, oh my God, did she say MD, PhD? Some folks just get an MD or a PhD.
Right.
So I have admired you from day one. Like, absolutely, absolutely. I am the co-chair for my chapter. So I am with Alpha Beta Zeta Omega chapter, which is Greater St. Clair County. And I am the co-chair of the Connection to Social Action initiative, and absolutely part of like who I am and what I, from politics to elections to voter registration to criminal justice reform, like all of those things. And I can safely say that, what I've done for 20 years absolutely gravitated me to that particular area, because I know this is like the second chapter that I've been either chair or co-chair of Connection, and it is just, it's a lot of fun too. So like, of course, AKA Day at the Capitol is coming, and just so many other initiatives that bring about opportunities to try to effectuate change. And that's, you know, what we do as women. And obviously that's what we do in the sorority. There is never a major anything that transpires, from a hurricane to, you know, criminal justice reform, that our head office, our national office is not putting out, national headquarters is not putting out a statement, and a firm statement and a direct statement. And so I just love the fact that we can all still be so engaged. Now give your chapter a shout out.
Delta does Omega East and West chapter, so.
Absolutely. And you were speaking of your
our chapter president.
Yes,
Mrs. Micah Ike, my cousin, but more excitingly for our chapter right now, she is really leading our chapter into this new international program and doing just a phenomenal job with it.
And our chapter president is none other than the Honorable Zena R. Cruz. And so she is the chapter president for Alpha Beta Zeta Omega. Yes, we have that strong connection. Yes, she was a membership co-chair when we were initiated in spring 15. And so there's been that constant connection. So speaking of that constant connection, we had the most amazing experience. And that's why we can sit here and grin and giggle and do everything. So, of course, there was the first day where we introduced, but we worked really hard to build a connection. And I really think that we've continued that. Would you all agree?
Yeah, I do. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And we will continue.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Obviously, because we're already talking about where we going for lunch when we get done with this. When we get done with this.
Yes.
But, you know, for me, it just seems that it takes an effort.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It really does take an effort, because we're wives and moms and we're career women. But one thing I can say, that one of the things that they told us from the very beginning was, do not let it consume you. So give it your all, give it 100% and be present, but don't let it consume you. So how do you keep it from consuming you? Because it's not easy. Or making you a different person, because we've seen that. And that's, I'm no shade on the undergrads, but you know, at 45, it's kind of, it's kind of hard to, transition into the sisterhood and then turn into a different person, or we hope, right?
Yeah.
But how do we continue to work to make sure that there's balance in any area of life, really?
I can speak for myself. I know a few years back I chaired Global Impact. That was the name of that program back then, and it was a lot. And like I said, I'm a doctoral student, so trying to balance work, chairing this committee, and then
and wanted to do a good job.
Yeah, and you want to give it your all, right? In every aspect. And that's why it's so hard to take on so many different jobs, because you do want to give everything 100%. But what I had to understand is that I couldn't give everything 100%. I really couldn't, because I didn't want to stretch myself too thin. So, for me, I had the way that I was able to just kind of step back a little bit, like I said, was at that time I was learning how to make candles. So that was like I can digress a little bit and just kind of not think of anything AKA related, nothing, with school, work. I just go home and I digress. So for me, that's kind of like how I just took a step back. And after I chaired that for those 2 years, I was able to exhale just a little bit, and I did step back a little bit from AKA, because I was like, woo, that took a lot of my time. That took a lot of time. You're at all these different, meetings, and it's a lot. It really is a lot.
Reports, and again, decent and in order.
Yes.
And you want to do it well, because, you're doing it for your sorority, but then, like you said, you're trying to maintain your mental health, and your mental health impacts your physical health.
That's
and then
right.
you're trying to be, get those A's on that doctoral degree.
That's right.
So yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think also just remembering you don't have to do everything.
Yeah.
Like, you can just find what you are most passionate about. I think that's the thing that always gets me. Like, you just find what you're like, oh, this is what I'm really into. Because I feel like when we do that, you're not thinking of it as work so much. And so it kind of just brings you joy to do those things. And so when you do that, you're kind of having fun with it. It kind of brings you a little stress, but you're like, okay, I can step back. But then you remember why. And like, okay, I'm going at it again. So it's just, I think that's the thing that really helps me. Is this, I'm not going to do everything. I don't have to. Because somebody else needs to do stuff. But
I remember earlier in the process, or earlier when we first met each other, an older soror, a wiser soror came to me and she said, life is gonna life. If you do need to take a step back from AKA, know that you can always come back. AKA will always be there, And
That's good.
I had a baby. I had to step back. COVID happened. I had to step back,
Right.
But I know AKA is gonna be there when I'm ready to get back working.
That's right.
yes.
And that's another one of the gems that we received when, I can't remember if we were at a CRC or where we were, but there was a seasoned soror who said, and don't let AKA take your marriage. Oh, and I was like, okay, well, I'll keep that in mind, but again, when you're giving it your all and you're trying to spread yourself and you're trying to burn this candle at not just two ends nowadays, it definitely could get you to a place that, them honeydews is like, I appreciated that. Like, these women love Alpha Kappa Alpha, but they understand that you should not be sacrificing your marriage. You should not be sacrificing your relationship with your children. You should not be putting yourself into bankruptcy behind it. Like, all things in moderation, and decent and in order. And so that is good that she was like, we gonna be, that's right, for perpetuity. Okay, we are gonna be here. So it's the sisterhood for me.
Amen.
Like we said, we lost our beautiful Tracy, and that was difficult for us to go through. We've gotten married, we've had children, we've graduated, we've just done everything, and you're always there. What did we say before? This woman right here, when I was in elected office, I could have been having a fundraiser on the moon. Okay, this woman was coming. She, our soror Mary Crockett Smith. I mean, that woman will give you the shirt off her back, the food out of her refrigerator.
Yes,
I mean, she will give you her car and walk like. So, what does the sisterhood mean?
Mary gave me a washer and dryer, a brand new washer and dryer.
That's the food right there.
There you go, you take it.
Yeah.
I don't even know what your question was. I was just thinking about how amazing.
How giving, and she's a
she
kind-hearted.
is.
She's a kind-hearted person for sure.
And not all of us quite have it to give the way that Mary does.
Right.
But I think that every one of us will be there and step up for you in
absolutely.
as many ways as we can.
Absolutely.
And I think that's just the most beautiful, amazing thing, that you got these 25 other women that you can call when you need them, and you know that they will be there.
Yeah. I agree 100%.
I think sisterhood is also being able to check each other in a loving way and taking it, just taking it. Like, but you get your, you get it.
Like, I know. Listen, this is why I say I gotta start bringing Hershey's Kisses to chapter meetings. Okay, you just gotta take it, and it's an acronym, KISS, Keep It Sisterly Soror. I'm gonna just start sitting the little chocolate right there. But really, it is. You can check them, but you have to be
how you do it,
sisterly, and and I don't even really want to use the word check.
I know.
I think that's a little harsh,
We
but
can redirect.
Pull your coattails.
That's right. That's right.
Honey, your slip is showing.
Okay. Yeah. Stop smacking that gum. Throw that.
Why do you have gum? No. I think, Tracy, since we talk about her so much, we've talked about her a lot. She was the first soror who did check me a little bit, and I was like, But she did it so loving. And I was like this, you know what, Tracy, I don't even know how to feel about this. And she didn't raise her voice. She was like, well, Anisha. I was like, oh, government name. and we had a 3-hour conversation. And I'm like, okay, I love you. Bye. Like, I don't want to touch you today. Like, I love you. But, but I mean, we had a good conversation. But it wasn't, I didn't feel any kind of way. And I just think with my line sisters, I wouldn't feel any kind of way. I know that you will genuinely do this to make sure I'm good and I'm not misrepresenting myself or anybody else or you guys, because at this point, I represent us, 27 of us, and I don't want that to ever be the representation that anything was wrong. So
I know she got me together one time because our beloved Tracy was an educator. Like,
yes, she was.
From sun up to sundown. And so, as we all know from previous episodes, my son had an IEP. And, you know, he's forgetful even now that the IEP has been, you know, dismissed. But I was like, and so I have this list. It's a morning list and an afternoon list. And it's brush your teeth and wash your face. And she was like, keep the list. I just knew as an educator, she was like, girl, you are enabling him. And that she was like, no, little boys especially. She was like, sometimes they need that extra encouragement. They need that extra reminder. She was like, just for their own ability to not have to be so hyped up or anxious all the time. Like, I got to make sure I'm doing everything Mama said. She was like, keep the list and not bother nobody. It's on the wall. You put it there.
That's
you made the list. Leave the baby's list alone. And I was like, I just knew I was telling her she was going to be like, get rid of that list. And then I was going to feel justified, right? She was like, nope, I'm going to need you to keep that list. I was like, okay, I'm going to keep the list. I'm going to keep the list. But again, I have a brother, right? I don't have before you all, right? I have sister cousins and all that. But the sisterhood is what drives me, is what keeps me going. And yes, it's not always wine and roses, right? It's not always pretty balloons and whatever and pink toes, but it like you said, the kiss, you know, it can get a little edgy sometimes, but it always should go back to the sisterhood.
Yeah,
that's right.
It always should go back to the sisterhood and the ability to be able to get together for your anniversary at Mary's house and, you know, eat good and laugh and talk and dance and have karaoke. And just to have somebody that even in the most trying times, you know, you can turn to and cry. You can I can call and say, well, you know, Caitlin's got this going on, or, you know, Anthony's got that. And well, I would recommend this or whatever. Somebody that you can turn to that really has your back. And I think sometimes, you know, we lack that, you know, as a society. And even, I'm gonna say it, like, this is the platform for hard conversations, even amongst Black women. You know, we struggle with that. And so how are we gonna, even outside the sorority as Black women, period, how are we gonna do better with that? How are we gonna do better with the shade? How are we gonna do better with, you know, the cattiness, the cattiness and the baby? I asked it. How we have got to do better.
we do.
We do. I mean, I guess we gotta be a little more educated. I mean, we have to educate ourselves. I feel like that's the first thought. And then you have to want to understand other people. You have to want to make whatever change that you may need to make to be at a better headspace. You know, so I don't know, education I feel like is definitely important, and then your willingness, like you wanting to know things and wanting to make that change. Like you can't force anybody to do anything. At the end of the day, you can't force nobody to do anything that they do not want to do. So, and if it's in their nature to be catty and throw shade and all that, I mean,
some people seem like they live for it, and I'm like, but that's just the way I am. But you don't have to be that way. And it's not cute, honey. Like it's not a good look.
Not at all.
Not after 20.
It's really not cute before either, but we'll tolerate it. I guess if you're under 20.
It's a little adorable at 15.
Yeah.
Just a little adorable.
Yes.
A little sassy 14-year-old. That's cute. But
yeah, after a while, you just seem miserable.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. Sometimes we're so unhappy with ourselves, and the tactic is, oh, I'm gonna oh, you too happy today. I don't like that. Like, so I'm gonna pull you down on that. And I think that's the thing that sometimes we have to remember that yes, we have ups and downs, but you're not always gonna be up and you're not always gonna be down. And so I'm gonna tell a little story about one of our regional conferences. Stephanie's my cousin, and so we typically share rooms and all this. She was having a funky day at regionals one year, and it was funny to me because I can deal with it. That's my cousin. I'm whatever. And so she got into it. She was like, "Forget it. I'm not even doing it." And I was like, "Okay." And so I kept going. I was like, "Well, I'll tell you where I'm at whenever we're going down anyway." So another story was like, "Well, where is she? Where is she? I'm going to call her. She's going to come down here." And I was like, "She ain't coming." I said, "And she's not going to answer the phone." So, of course, she did call and she didn't answer. I said, "I promise when she's over her," I said, "she don't want to be funky. So when she get over this, she going to be ready to come down." And she came down, dressed how she looked, dressed like the rest of us, and came on down and smiled. And I said she needed her moment. And so it's like, it wasn't a, I'm not going to say, well, you just being Nick. No, you need your moment because that's real. Like we experience life and it's real. You never know what that second looks like for everybody. So,
yeah. You never want to bring negativity around other people. So if you're going to be negative, stay at home. I don't want that. I do not want that around me.
I'm with you,
I say, even, I even have like siblings and stuff. When I know that they're in the phone, you need to go home because what you're not going to do is bring down my joy.
Yeah, exactly.
In that moment, I didn't want to bring it because I'm in a, I'm upset. I'm not happy about something. And we were at this regional conference. You're trying to have a good time. I didn't want to be in that, anybody else to be, what's wrong? I don't need all of that. Let me just take my moment and then y'all go do y'all thing and I'll be down in a minute.
I'll meet you.
Yeah, so I needed that. Yeah, so I was good after that.
She was. It was fun. It was the funniest thing because I'm like, Brad, because I am older than her. So I'm leaving you. And she's like, bye. I was like, see you later. I was like, whatever. But yeah, I just think it's one of those things. I just remember even going through my divorce and talking to you guys, and I'm like, and someone said, and I don't know who it was at this moment, they were just like, so how long you finna stay in this phone? And I was like, nothing's going to change. And I was like, dang, you're right. Like, so me being in a funk, I mean, yeah, I'm going through a crazy situation, but it was like, how long am I going to sit and live in this misery? Like, life goes on. Life after divorce is life after divorce. You can do this. And I was like, and they was like, okay, so how do you change it? And I was like, I wasn't trying to change nothing right now. I was trying to bless. Like, let me have it. And she was like, no, what can we do about it? And I was like, and that changed that was a life switch for me. It was like, oh, let's change this. Because if I can't change it, why are we talking about it anyway? So let's make changes of what we need to see or what we want to see. So this chick is always, like you said, my girl, she be like, okay, and I'm like, okay. And it's not a rude and. I don't want to use it. She's like, let's go. What can we do with this? Like, I love it.
She's a matter of fact person.
Yeah,
she's as a matter of fact person.
It's not a bad thing.
No, not at all.
Really not. Because you need that balance. Like, you are my balance. I tell you, my mom throws me off on you sometimes, and this is like, go find me.
I'm always happy to have you.
And her mom is also a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. But no, you are very in the most loving, sisterly way.
Yes.
Frank, straightforward. Maybe it's the doctor in you.
It's just my personality.
Exactly. And it's beautiful. And it's beautiful because, like you said, you need that person that's going to be like, okay. And so for me, it was when we were talking about our wonderful Sorazina cruise, we have a very, very close relationship. And that moment that you had, that's that 2 minutes. Okay. All right. So this happened. This was tragic. This was awful. This was what? Okay. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. And it's a concept, right? It obviously, with my grandmother passing, it's not a literal 2 minutes, right? Or with a divorce, but sometimes it is a literal 2 minutes. Like you at work and somebody that made you, you got 2 minutes, and you need that again from a sister, from someone in the sorority, somebody who can come alongside you and say, hey, okay, we can't change it, but we need to change this. And, you know, that just means the world, because if not, I'll stay there. Right? Because we love to do that. We love to stay there. Like, we will get offended and stay right there. You know, no, it's 20 years later. I don't deal with her. You know what I'm saying? And the only person that's tripping 20 years later is you. You know? And so we just,
I feel like we've gotten ourselves to this place as a society, though, where, like, a lot of the time, if you're like, look, Neshea, like, you need to buckle up and move on from this, where, you know, you're not a good friend and you're not supportive, and you know, you just need to be here for me. And yes, like, we need our friends to be those things. We need our family, our sorority sisters to be those things. But also, it's easy to get stuck in things, like you were saying. And sometimes you need a person to really be like, you have to figure out how to unstick yourself and keep moving forward. Life is going on, like, you've got to go on with it.
And that's the beauty of not being an island. Like, I have people that are like, oh, I'm an island. That's not cute.
Why would you want to stay that way?
Why would you want to be that way? Like, that is not even how God created us. Okay, because then it just would have been just Adam or just no. We are a community of people, and we are a community people. You know what I'm saying? And we are community women. We from girls' night to whatever. What we talking about? Black Greek weekend next weekend. We like, who going? Like, we are not meant to be islands or alone. And again, like you said, you can get stuck. And if it was easy to unstick yourself, nobody would be stuck.
And no one go
and then Alondra wouldn't have a job, right? As she is our line sisters, as a wonderful counselor. Like, if there would be no marriage counselor, there would be nothing, right? You wouldn't even have a pediatrician, because you would be able to WebMD it or whatever, and everybody would be running around here with a half a head or whatever the situation may be. No, we are a community people, and we need people to be able to rub our knee and be like, hey, I get it, right? And then there are no lost experiences, because whereas I may not have gone through divorce, I did have the death of a marriage, because, you know, so I understand the loneliness. I understand being a single parent. Like, I understand all those things, because though it wasn't a divorce, I still went through a situation where one day I was married and the next day I wasn't, and I had this little 8-month-old boy that I'm sitting up like, nah, I'm gonna do this. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to be no alpha. I'm trying to be, you know, it's just like, again, just being able to come alongside people and never leaving people. Like, I don't ever feel like with those of us, the 25, that I'm ever just going to be left. If I ever needed anything, I know that there is somebody and somebody's. I ain't going to tell that lie like it's just one. It's a whole crew of women that would be like, oh, what? Something happened to God. Oh, no, where we going? You know, and I feel like we would do that for any of us. Like, every single one of us, I feel that we would come together, because we have. Like, we've got the history to prove it. And that's something that I love, because the people that brought us in, they know that. They be like, them 27, boy, I'm telling you, they don't play. Like, you ain't finna come for their neck, their ankles. You ain't finna, like, we are, they hang out, they do this. And
stick beside them.
That's right. That's right. And we still together. We still together. So, as we close, I always ask this. So, for the young lady, whether she's in high school, whether she's in undergrad, whether she's coming out grad like we did, like, why would someone choose our illustrious sorority?
I would say, for one, we provide service to all mankind. That's the biggest thing right there. We know that in a sorority, we provide, service to communities. That, like, the community is our baby. And if you're willing to take on that job of putting your best foot forward back out and putting things back into your community, I would say we have a young girl I'm speaking to, high school or whoever, I want them to focus on what's happening within their community, so they'll know what they need to change when they become an AKA, or whatever. So just kind of just have that guidance and that tool for them to kind of get them to start thinking about that first. I guess that's kind of what I would say. For me,
that was beautiful.
I think for me, it's the sisterhood. It really is having someone who will have your back, even when you don't have your own back. Like, and I'm saying that because that's how I feel. Like when I'm not at my best and I can't have me, somebody gonna have my back. And so I got your back. Literally right behind you. right. But I think that's a big thing for me. It's having this and being able to be okay. Like knowing that I'm good. Like I don't need let me call my line sisters because they got my back. Like this is one of those moments for me.
Absolutely. As an undergrad, I spent a lot of time with the Women of Iota Ta chapter, and they used to say all the time, it is a sisterhood that is also a business, and you need to be about both if this is what you're interested in.
I love that.
And you can't pick one or the other. You have to want both.
That's right.
And so I think if you are passionate about the type of work that we are doing in our communities, but also on a nationwide and international level, and you are passionate about working with other smart, driven, compassionate women to make these changes happen, then we might be the sorority for you. If you,
I love it.
If you feel like you only want one piece of this, then you may need to look into something else.
Okay, what she said, what my line sister said.
Okay. I love it. I love it. So what would you say?
I would say that Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated is full of amazing alpha women. And if you want to be in the number, there's only one way. There's no choice. There's really no choice.
There isn't, and I love all four of you put it so beautifully. I just love my life. Like it is just amazing. I agree with everything that you said. I would take a little bit of everything and then reiterate the commitment.
Yes.
Yep.
It's not just the salmon pink and the apple green. It's not just the letters. It's not just the hair flipping and the struggling at the party. Even though the way my back and neck is set up, I can't even do all that. But in seriousness, it's about the commitment. And I know so many times, especially in younger years, it's I want to stroll and I want to be on the yard and I want to do this and that. But what did you say? Service to all mankind. And that takes financial commitment. That takes your actual commitment, time and energy, and whatever gift. Because what do we already start with? There's a gift in each one of us that we bring. And just to be able to have that commitment. Because if you can't be committed to it, what did you say? I'm going to need you to find you something else to do. I'm finding it because this is it.
Agree. 100% agree.
Because Alpha Kappa Alpha is not cheap. Just so you know, like it is not a cheap organization, baby.
It's not.
Yeah, we put a lot of dollars into this.
You gotta put it's money. It's your blood, sweat, and tears. Not literally blood, but it's literally like how you looking at it. Like it's literally like my hard on money, and it's just what we're doing. And I remember I was told as a kid, being in my sorority is not cheap, and I said yes, ma'am. And I was like, yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
Because we will be showing ourselves a disservice and showing a disservice to the community. So we kind of gotta do what we gotta do.
Decent order, and you just need to do all things well. And if you can't operate with a spirit of excellence, right? Nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes. Sometimes you have a program and it don't quite turn out the way you wanted it to, and then you tweak it and you come back. But to be able to know that perfection is not the requirement. The effort is.
That's right.
and the spirit of excellence is required. And people know. So, like we just said, everything is not going to be perfect always. But someone will know if you didn't put in the work because it's evident, right? But then somebody will be like, y'all ain't gonna say nothing about my license because she works her tail off for that. Like, it rained. That's why didn't nobody come. She can't control the rain. Okay. So, exactly.
Yeah. She be hustling.
Yeah.
Cassandra be out here, okay?
Yes. Our line sister Cassandra, she puts in that work.
She does.
And so, just to be able to make sure that you are committed in whatever that is before you come down this road, you know, again, so Rosina, folks, make sure you, before you come down this way, make sure you're ready.
Yeah, you gotta be ready.
You're going to get whatever you get when you get down here. So make sure you was ready before you come this way. And
have the grades and GPA.
That is true.
Have the grades.
There is that.
Be about your business,
Yes,
baby.
there are requirements and standards. Okay.
Okay, it's another relationship.
Yes.
It is. It's another. You're trying to make it. Really is. I think because you got to be spiritually, mentally, you know, financially. You have to literally be physically. You got to be ready for everything. So it's just like that's as if you was getting prepared for something else in your life. You have to be mentally, physically, financially.
That's right.
Everything you have to be ready. So just. Yeah, it's another relationship, I feel.
Yes. But it's one of the most beautiful relationships.
Yes.
And I just love all y'all. Like, I just love
you.
y'all. I just love y'all. And I was like, my sisters are going to come on and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And it has been. Are y'all going to come back?
Yes.
Sure
we
will.
will.
Sure will.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being with me today. This was just so amazing. And I'm so excited about our
Year 8.
And I mean, before we know, we're gonna look up and we're gonna have our silver, our tiaras and our sashes. Because some of these silvers this year in 2023, baby, they was
cut up, didn't they?
They cut up.
I know they did. Okay. That's okay because we taking notes. That's all we do. We taking notes.
Absolutely. And they already be like, the 27. Like, can you imagine? Our silver is y'all ain't ready. But don't worry, y'all got some time.
Okay. Right.
Clearly y'all got some time, but you know it's gonna be amazing. And I'm speaking it now. We're gonna be here, and we're gonna be healthy, and we're gonna be beautiful.
Yes.
And it's just gonna be great. It's gonna be great from 8 until forever. From 8 until forever. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for inviting us.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning in today to Pros and Politics Podcast, where we are polished and poised for greatness and impact. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please join us again next week. And in the meantime, please like, love, share, and subscribe. Thank you.